Jesus said, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. Our calling is to light the world. But how can we do that if we ourselves are dim? No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money, Jesus warns us. The problem is that there is a visible difference between serving God and serving money. On the advisory booklet you received, this presentation has a title saying Personal Financial Management, right? Mm-hmm. That's the way it's written on the schedule. But first, as stewards, before talking about dealing with money, we need to reflect about our relationship with money, because it has a crucial impact on our relationship with God. So the problem is not wealth itself. Otherwise, being poor would be enough to remain in God's ways. It's important to emphasize that the problem is not wealth itself. The Bible presents several examples of poor individuals who turned away from God. Achan, Jeroboam, Gehazi, Ananias, Sapphira, Judah. And Judah, the example of Judah shows that when the heart set on money, it doesn't take too much to shake it. 30 coins are enough. When the heart's set on money, it doesn't take much to shake it. On the other hand, when the heart is set on great wealth and many possessions, we are in danger of trusting in riches instead of trusting in God. And this is foolishness, as we may see on the parable of the rich fool at Luke 12. The rich young man felt that something was missing in his heart, and an empty space that his great possessions could not fill. And this reminds us also that money can never truly satisfy us. Yet even knowing this, that money can never truly satisfy us, even knowing this, we can easily become attached to it, as the rich young man. So, what do all these examples have in common? The poor ones and the rich ones, what all these examples have in common? We know that the Word of God is a lamp to our feet and light to our path. But as the parable of sower, at the parable of sower, Jesus appoints us an important warn. The cares of the world and the deceitfulness of riches and the desires for other things enter and choke the word, and it proves unfruitful. I've been very happy to know this version in English, because in Portuguese we don't have this word to choke, and it gives another. For me, it gives more meaning to the impact of the deceitfulness of riches, cares of the world, and desires for other things. These are thorns thorns on our spiritual lives. Notice, Jesus is not talking about people who are outside the church in this specific case. He's talking about those who are inside the church. Those who come to the church on Sabbath morning. Those who bring their Bibles with them. Those who wear Christian clothes. Speak like Christians, have Christian vocabulary. They have a seat. When it's time to sing, they sing. When it's time to pray, they pray. They listen to the sermon, and after all, they go home. They do nothing wrong, but also they do nothing significant. They do nothing wrong, but also they do nothing impactful. They are unfruitful Christians. A fruitless Christian is a useless Christian. Look at this test of the great controversy. Many are deceived as to their true condition before God. They congratulate themselves upon the wrong acts which they do not commit, and forget to enumerate the good and noble deeds which God requires of them, but which they have neglected to perform. In the books of heaven, they are registered as cumberers of the ground. And this word cumberers, for me, it was not familiar. And I was looking at the dictionary, and it's something like useless. Useless. So a fruitless Christian is a useless Christian at the eyes of God. You can provide them, you leaders, stewardship leaders can provide them with the most well-prepared resources, all sorts of materials, books, videos, and expensive training programs, but they will not get involved because they are useless Christians. They are unfruitful. It will be just a waste of time and money. According to Jesus' explanation, this situation is the result of the thorns in their lives, choking with the word. Which thorns? The cares of the world, the deceitfulness of riches, and the desires for other things. All of this have to do with finances. There is a test in Matthew 9:38. So pray to the Lord, who is in charge of the harvest. Ask him to send more workers into his fields. And I truly believe that today, 2026, there is a crowd of potential workers. A crowd of potential workers registered as regular members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. But they are all distracted, struggling with the thorns of cares of the world, deceitfulness of riches, and the desires for other things. We should help, and I include myself. You are the stewardship leaders, globally speaking, but I am a stewardship local church leader. At my local church, I feel responsible also to help these people to eliminate these thorns. And to do that, I think that the first one that how can I? Because I'm a little bit taller, maybe, okay. how should we deal with the storms according to Jesus? Because when we need to answer this question, let us go to the Master of Masters. And I don't want to read all the text, but for example, the cares of the world. What Jesus said about this? Jesus said, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you drink, nor about your body, what you put on. It's not life more than food and body more than clothing. Deceitfulness of riches. Jesus said, do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, moth, okay? Where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal, but lay up yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. In another part, at Luke 12, Jesus said, be aware, guard against every kind of greed. Life is not measured by how much you own. And continue at Matthew 6, about the desires for other things. Jesus said, the eye is the lamp of the body, so if your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light in you is darkness, how great is the darkness? Notice that if we pay attention to the context of that, and see that Jesus is not talking about what we look at, but about what we desire. This text, considering the context, is not just about what we are looking at, but what we are desiring also. I have 3 children. Pastor presented me. And as a mother, I'm worried about what my kids are looking at. If they are looking at good things, watching on the TV and on the internet, and reading books, magazines, so on. But Jesus goes deeper. Jesus tells us that it's not only about what you and me are looking at. It's also about what you and me are desiring. And to emphasize this, he calls us to remember what happened to Lot's wife. Jesus warns us about what happened to Lot's wife and why. You know the story, of course. But I was thinking about it as a lay member, and I realized something. Her body was outside the city of Sodom and Gomorrah, but her heart was remaining inside the city. I can leave Sodom and Gomorrah physically, but I can still live as a citizen of that city in my heart. So, where we look reveals much about who can capture our attention, who shapes our priorities. who claims our devotion, who drives our mission. And all these things has to do with talents, time management, temple, treasure, and all those T's regarding stewardship. But those who desire to be rich fall into temptation, into a snare, into many senseless and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. Why are riches so desired? Because having riches seems to mean fewer worries and more fulfilled desires. And the Bible says in Ecclesiastes 10:29, good food and wine help us to love and to be happy, but you need to have money to buy everything. Look, the Bible does not despise the value of money. Having money is important and necessary. The problem lies in being deceived by riches. Deceiving is distortion of reality, is misunderstanding. And we can see this truth in the example of Laodicea's church. At Laodicea's church, we can read in Revelation 3:17, you say, I'm rich. I have everything I want. I don't need a thing. And you don't realize, look, misunderstanding. You don't realize that you are wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked. Look, the deceitfulness of riches, how I see myself. I'm rich. I have everything I want. I don't need a thing. But how God sees me. You are miserable and poor. You're wretched, blind and naked. Deceitfulness, misunderstanding. A healthy relationship with money can only exist from a correct view of reality. And this depends on one essential thing. What's this? Jesus answered. So I advise you to buy gold from me, gold that has been purified by fire. Then you will be rich. Also buy white garments from me, so you will not be shamed by your nakedness, and ointment for your eyes, so you will be able to see. To be able to see what? And that's the main question. And so important question that Jesus opened his teaching about finances in Mark 6:19 with this differentiation. Treasures on earth versus treasures in heaven. On this particular teaching about finances that begins on Matthew 6:19 and ends on Matthew 6:34. Jesus' first point is not about budget. Jesus' first point is not about savings, debts, financial planning, emergency funds, investments, risk management. No. Jesus' first point is not retirement. None of these things. Jesus' first point is the most important truth that we need to learn and that he wants us to learn concerning about our identity, our priority, our purpose of life. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also, he says. Our attention, our priorities, our devotion, our mission, ambassadors of the kingdom. Look, this world is our dwelling. We must take good care of it. We live here. We must take good care of this place where we live. But this world is not our home. We are pilgrims. This world is our field. We must labor. We need to work to earn money, to pay our bills, okay? But this world is not our homeland. We are ambassadors. Let me read what is 2 Corinthians 5:20. Therefore, we are ambassadors for Christ, God making his appeal through us. Ambassadors bearing an urgent three-angel message to proclaim. Our calling is to light the world, and I repeat, how can we do this? How can we do that if we are dim? And to Laodicea, Jesus invites, and for us also, behold, I stand at the door and knock. But many of us, many of our members, potential workers to the harvest, are now, at this moment, adoring money. So, how should we manage? How should we manage our personal finances in order to avoid financial trouble? Budget chaos, debt, bankruptcy, and poor investments, bad investments. How should we manage? Is there any counsel, any principle of the Bible that we can follow? Also, how can we relate to money in a healthy way without letting it take God's place in our hearts? Without leaving Christ at the outside of the house? Jesus answers again. Plow up the hard ground of your hearts. Do not waste your good seeds among thorns. I was talking about useless Christians, unfruitful Christians. And there's a test of Ellen White. When, the continuation of that test that I mentioned before. And after talking about that unuseful Christians that are registered at God's book, heaven's book, as unuseful, unfruitful, she says there is hope for them. They need to respond to the calling of Jesus Christ. There's hope for us. There's hope for our membership. And we need to eliminate the thorns. That's the purpose of this book. Grounded in the Bible, focused on the mission. That's the purpose. There are 21 chapters. And those chapters go through stewardship, budget, savings, debts, investments, financial planning, and the most important, identity and mission. it has many practical guidances for the readers to use. One of them I'd like to share with you is presented at the first chapters, the first 5 chapters that deals with stewardship. Because I don't know in your countries, but in Brazil, we're not so good readers. We don't read lots of books. Correct, Pastor Josana? So the main message of steward is at the beginning of the book. So if you present this book to your camps, maybe I can guarantee that the stewardship message they will learn, will receive. But not talking about tithes and offerings, talking about finances, and giving the stewardship message together, but in a very, how can I say, Pastor Bonfim, in a very subtle way. So just a second. I'm trying to develop my social media with this message. And many times I receive questions coming from brothers and sisters of other denominations because of this book. So it's a book that doesn't talk just with the Seventh-day Adventist members. It talks with any person that wants to know finances subject based on the Bible. Okay? So I will just present you one topic that is one of the first chapters, first 5 chapters. For example, the 7 financial priorities taught in the Bible. We have the biblical references here, but just for you to have an overview, the first one, the most important one, to seek God first, as Jesus taught in the Matthew 6:33. You remember Matthew 6 from 19 to 34? Jesus is talking about finances. And to conclude his message, okay, you need to solve your finances problems, you solve your life, you solve your priorities, the way you observe your life. I will give you the key point, the key message you don't have to forget. To seek first the kingdom and God's kingdom and His justice, His righteousness. To seek God first. So one of the topics of the book is that no one can solve their financial problems, financial difficulties, putting God last. Going out to work and to earn money without first seeking God. And no one can solve financial problems by taking money as the most important thing of his life. But God has to be the most important. The second, to work, but not to work anyway. To work to glorify God. By the way, the subtitle of the book is How to Glorify God Through Your Finances. To work to glorify God, you might be a very respectable and good worker if you work to glorify God. It doesn't matter what you do, what your profession. If you work to glorify God, we will be a good professional. The third, to earn, because the labor is worthy of his payment, his salary. The transition here is important to emphasize. First, I seek God. Second, I live to work. Third, I receive. And now that I have my income, what should I do? The first, to honor. To honor who? To honor God. Proverbs 3:9. To honor God, first of all, but if you have taxes to pay, you have to honor the authorities also, being honest. And then, shall we use the rest of the money? No, you have also to give. And give here has nothing to do with offerings. The offerings are at the fourth priority, tithes and offerings. Here to give has to do with donation, with helping somebody that asks food, something like that, and in a planning situation, not something that you do. Okay, you are boring me. I'll take this money. It doesn't. Don't speak to me anymore. No, it's a form to realize that we are called to be a blessing to others. And then, may I use the money that's left? No. First, I need to save money, and then just after all these 6 priorities, now we can enjoy because it's a gift from God. But neither I eat or I drink or do anything else. I have to do everything to glorify God. In summary, could we see the Great Commandment as presented on Matthew 22, chapter 22, verses 37 to 40. Could we see this commandment of love reflected in our budget when we put these priorities into practice? The answer is yes. When I seek God first, I'm saying that I love the Lord. When I work to serve Lord, I'm saying that I love also my neighbor. I'm doing my best because I serve the Lord, and automatically I'm sharing love with my neighbor. When I receive, when I seek to earn righteousness, earning, I'm sharing, mostrando, sharing love to myself. When I honor God, when I put God first, when I receive, I'm again showing love to Lord. Love the Lord. When I give, love your neighbor. When I save, love myself for the future. And when I enjoy the present, I love myself in the present. The commandment of love can be reflected in the way we manage with our finances. So, how blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsels of the wicked, nor stand in the path of sinners, nor sit in the seat of scoffers, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night. Dear friends, many of our youth are not meditating in the law of God. They are consuming materials books, good materials, but secular ideas that not glorify Lord. And we need to call our youth and all the members to come back to the Bible, to learn from the Bible, and the scriptures continues. He will be like a tree firmly planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither. And in whatever he does, he prospers. It's a promise. Maybe this be our description. This is the summary of the message of the book. Okay, it's a book of finances, but the finances is not the main message of the book. Because of this, the title calls us to remember our identity. That's it, okay? That's it. Thank you very much for your attention, for your patience. Yes, Pastor?